HowExpert! Top 10 fun facts about beers. HowExpert publishes quick how-to guides on all topics from A to Z by everyday experts. Visit HowExpert.com to learn more. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more HowExpert Top 10 videos in the future. Moving on, let's talk about the HowExpert Top 10 fun facts about beers. Number 10. There is another Budweiser. Anheuser-Busch's Budweiser is the most recognizable brand of American beer, but there is another Budweiser, and the fight for the name goes back to the 19th century. The Budweiser Budvar Brewing is a Czech state-owned brewery founded in Budweis. Their distributions aren't comparable, though. Anheuser sells 400 million hectoliters, 100 liters, to Budvar's 1.4 million. But in 1907, the two came to an agreement. Anheuser-Busch would market their beer as Budweiser only in the United States. Hundreds of trademark disputes later, Budvar still has the rights in most of Europe, while Anheuser-Busch has, well, the rest of the world. Number 9. Oktoberfest isn't the only beer festival. Munich's 16-day Oktoberfest might be the biggest and most recognizable beer festival in the world, but it certainly isn't the only one. London's week-long Great British Beer Festival in August brings in about 60,000 people and estimates it sells a beer every half a second. Asia's largest beer festival is the Qingdao International Beer Festival. This one is also in August, but runs for almost a month. North America has its fair share too, with some of the biggest taking place in June in Montreal, July in Vermont and Oregon, and Denver in September. Number 8. The oldest recipe ever written is for beer and was probably created by a woman. The earliest beers may have been made 9,500 years ago, but the earliest recording of a recipe for beer goes back 2,500 years. That's before whiskey and wine. Either way, beer and bread are long considered two key points in the creation of civilization. Evidence of its early existence come from Asia, Middle East, and the American continents. Brewers were held in the highest esteem, and many places in the world were women. Number 7. The oldest brewery still in production today was established by monks. In the Middle Ages, beer was usually safer to drink than water, and the best beer was made by monks. It should be unsurprising then that the oldest brewery still in production started at a monastery. The Weinstefan Brewery in Germany began making beer in 1040 and still distributes 10 different kinds of beer a day. Weltenberg Abbey Brewery, another monastery, disputes Weinstefan's claim, but that sounds like sibling rivalry to me. Yuengling in Pennsylvania is the oldest brewery in the U.S., and Smithwick's in Kilkenny is the oldest in Ireland. It's great to know we have access to such historical brews at your local market. Number 6. Hops is a cousin of marijuana. Every beer has 4 ingredients: grain, water, yeast, and hops. Where each of these come from and how they're cultivated makes a huge difference in beers, and that is especially true of hops. Hops are technically the flowers of Humulus lupus. This flower is what gives beer its bitter, floral, and citrus flavors, and smelling a handful of hops could bring back some other familiar scents. The exact genetic link between hops and marijuana isn't certain, but the similarities in taste, smell, and chemistry makes them undeniably linked. Key point though, hops in its natural form does not produce THC. Brewers started using hops as a preservative for beer. That chemical discovery leads to development of the popular India Pale Ale to ship beers from India to Great Britain. Number 5. Craft beer is a fluid concept. The exact definition of craft beer is a bit elusive, but is generally defined by the process through which the beers are made by hand. Where the definitions vary is how much you can produce and how independent your ownership is to still be considered craft. The latest coveted symbol for craft brewers is the Independent Craft Brewer seal from Brewers Association. In order to apply, the brewery must produce less than 60 million barrels and have less than 25% investments from the beverage alcohol industry and be registered with the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, the TTB. Number 4, there is no universal list for beer types or styles. All beer can be assigned to the most basic category, ale or lager. The difference between ales and lagers is in how the yeast is fermented. Beyond that, it gets really tricky. Probably the most recognizable styles are blonde, pilsner, wheat, fruit, amber, India Pale Ale IPA, brown, porter, and stout. The Brewers Association officially recognizes 75 different types of beer, some of which even defy the basic rule of ale versus lager by blending the fermented styles. Some popular beer tracking apps can list over 200 different beer styles. Number 3. Beer might be the healthiest booze. Always drink responsibly, but when it comes to your health, beer might be the healthiest booze. Everything in moderation, of course. Excessive drinking has been linked to heart, liver, digestive, and other deadly health conditions. But while the antioxidants in wine are well known for their health benefits, it's less known that beer has just as many. Drinking beer, moderately of course, has been linked to reducing risk of heart disease, kidney stones, cancer, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Each beer type has its unique benefit, so look into your favorite. Number 2. Presidents have a huge impact on beer. Other than that one line in Hamilton, we don't usually associate presidents with beer, but presidents have a long history of affecting beer culture and industry. In the U.S., Washington, Jefferson, and Madison each had their own experience as brewers themselves. President Jimmy Carter's brother was a home brewer and influenced his brother to sign a law that exempted home-brewed beer for personal and family use from taxation. This law, signed in 1978, directly led to the explosion of craft breweries we see today as the largest expansion of the industry since Prohibition. Most recently, Obama had his own brewer inside the White House. And number 1, green and brown bottles are saving your beer. There's a very good reason for beers being bottled in green or brown: preservation. A hot beer isn't ideal, but the number 1 killer of a beer isn't the temperature, it's UV light. Brewers use green and brown glass as sunscreen, protecting their liquid gold for our enjoyment. The UV light interacts chemically with the hops in beer and creates a musky or skunky taste referred to as light struck, and unfortunately, there is no way to save a beer that has been skunked. Some popular brands still use clear bottles to showcase their beer's distinct color, so you'll have to take extra care with those out on the beach. If you liked our video, be sure to click like and subscribe for more HowExpert Top 10 videos for all topics from A to Z in the future. Also, let us know what other topics that you want us to do a HowExpert Top 10 video in the future in the comments below. Thank you and have an amazing day, and take care. HowExpert publishes quick how-to guides on all topics from A to Z by everyday experts. Visit howexpert.com to learn more.